Last year I started dating a guy who was newly single, and I had no expectations, but just kind of let him take the lead. But he kind of started acting like it was more of a serious thing. So I was like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. But about a month or so in, I started to realize that it maybe wasn't exactly that. We had a conversation about it. He said, I really like you and I don't want to stop hanging out with you, but I can't do something serious. And I said, I totally get it, but I can't do something casual. So we just kind of had to put a pin in it. And I told him, you've got my number, call me if anything changes. It was hard for me to do because I really did like him, but I also knew that I wanted to make sure I was available for something a little bit more. Even a couple months after that, he wound up reaching out to me, texting me a little bit. I feel like trying to gauge things with me, test the waters. And realized that I was home alone, was trying to invite himself over, and I said, oh my God, totally. If you come over, then I could probably assume that you're ready for something serious. That sounds great. And he said, I'm not actually in that place right now, but whatever. And I said, okay, well then you know how I feel and you know where I stand. And we kind of like laughed about it a little bit, but I was also really serious in the fact that I needed to stay committed to the need that I had and the boundary that I had set with him. And only a couple months after that, he wound up reaching out to me and just said, I know you told me not to reach out until I was ready for something a little bit more serious. Well, I am, and I've been thinking about you a lot. And long story short, we've been dating happily ever since. But that's not even the point, because I didn't even know that that's how it was gonna end. I kind of had to take a risk because I could have potentially lost him altogether and I didn't want to. But I also know that I really needed to make sure that I could speak up about what I needed and how I felt about things. So at the very least, regardless of what could happen, I was clearing the space for someone, somebody that I'd be able to connect with and actually have the kind of relationship that I was looking for, because I needed to stop accepting crumbs when I really just needed the whole meal. We all have shame and experiences that make us doubt who we are and our needs. And that's absolutely the case for us as queer people, because we came up in a world that taught us that there was something wrong and dirty just for being who we are. So we totally can feel insecure and doubt what we actually need. And so we wind up relying too heavily on other people just liking us so that we can feel secure in the world and we feel like we belong somehow. But what winds up happening? We don't voice our needs, we wind up becoming resentful and unfulfilled and bitter and even more insecure. And for what? Because we taught people that we needed one thing when we actually needed something different altogether. And we were really just afraid to let people know that because we weren't sure that anybody would stick around otherwise. But listen, I feel you, because I was afraid too. And last year specifically, I had to really make a commitment to myself to just comb through the relationships I had and stop accepting certain things that just weren't healthy for me to accept from other people anymore. As much as I could kind of understand where they were coming from and what I was doing, all these mental gymnastics to try and justify some kind of poor behavior. And so I just had to really kind of comb through a lot of relationships, like with friends and family and dating, and just be able to let people know, like, listen, I love you and I want to have a relationship with you, but this is what I need. And if you can't hear that and respect that, then I'm just going to have to love you from a distance. And that's what we have to do. We have to call out our own fear and insecurity of speaking up and own that that is our own fear and insecurity. We have to gently challenge ourselves, to be vulnerable enough to have a voice. And then we also have to surrender whatever the outcome is. We can't take it personally no matter what direction it heads. We have to forgive the people who aren't able to meet our needs. And then we have to invest like hell into those who can, because those are your people and you deserve those people. But it means that you have to be brave enough to ask for them. And for what? Because we just, we're too afraid that we would be all alone otherwise, because nobody would want to stick around. Fuck.